Machiavelli, often regarded as a master strategist, speaks to the very core of human nature with his philosophy. When we delve into his mindset, we see a figure who believes that control is not just a necessity, but a principle that governs the successful life. But what does this truly mean? It is essential to begin by acknowledging that emotions, while part of being human, often cloud judgment. Emotions can distort the path ahead, leading us down avenues that do not serve us. To be in control, Machiavelli would argue, you must first transcend your emotions, not allow them to dictate your actions. Why does he place so much emphasis on control? Control, for Machiavelli, is not just about power over others, but also about mastering oneself. Control is the quiet, unshakable force that allows you to make decisions not based on fleeting feelings, but on cold, calculated logic. The world around you is full of chaos and confusion, and only through discipline and detachment can you navigate it. Think about the powerful leaders throughout history who have changed the course of nations. They did not succeed because they followed their hearts. No, they succeeded because they mastered their own emotions and made decisions with a level of precision and objectivity that was unmatched. The world reacts to what is within you. If you are chaotic, the world becomes chaotic around you. If you are calm, cool, and collected, the world responds with respect and submission to your will. One of Machiavelli's most striking observations is that emotions are a weakness. They distract you, create blind spots, and often lead to decisions made in haste. In the cutthroat world of politics and leadership, emotions are like chains that restrict a person's true potential. The most effective leaders are those who have learned to harness their emotions, not let them dictate their course of action. In his book The Prince, Machiavelli writes extensively about the need for a leader to be ruthless when necessary. But this ruthlessness is not about the absence of emotions. It is about understanding them and knowing when to suppress them. A leader must never allow fear, anger, or love to cloud their judgment. They must always act with the greater good in mind, even if it requires making decisions that seem cold or callous to others. In Machiavelli's world, the ends justify the means. Success is paramount, and emotions can only stand in the way of that success. Let's look at the concept of virtù, Machiavelli's term for the ability to adapt to circumstances, to shape the environment around you. Virtù is the force that allows you to bend the world to your will, and it is a skill that can only be mastered when one has control over their emotional responses. If you allow fear or anger to dictate your actions, you will be swept away by the currents of life. But if you can detach from your emotions, you gain the ability to steer your life in the direction you want. Now, let us consider the idea of fear in leadership. Fear, as Machiavelli notes, can be a tool of power. A leader who does not instill fear in others will struggle to maintain control. But the key here is that the leader's fear must not be visible to those they lead. A true master of control projects strength and confidence, even if internally they feel doubt or uncertainty. The best leaders do not let their subordinates see their fear, because once fear is perceived, control begins to slip away. But what about the emotional response of others? In the world of Machiavellian politics, understanding the emotions of others is crucial. If you can read people, predict their reactions, and understand their motivations, you can shape their behavior to serve your own needs. This is why Machiavelli places so much emphasis on self-awareness and emotional intelligence. In order to control others, you must first understand the complex web of emotions that drives them. At this point, it is important to address the idea of manipulation. Machiavelli is often accused of advocating for manipulation, but this is a misunderstanding. Manipulation is not about deceiving people for personal gain. It is about using the understanding of human nature to guide others towards a specific end. When you know what others want, what motivates them, you can offer them something they value in exchange for their cooperation. This is the essence of leadership, creating win-win situations where everyone's needs are met while you retain ultimate control. This brings us to the final element of Machiavelli's philosophy: strategy. A master of control is also a master strategist. Strategy is about planning, anticipating, and executing with precision. It is about seeing several steps ahead, understanding the motivations of others, and always staying one move ahead of the game. This requires a clear mind, free from the distractions of emotion, focused solely on the goal at hand. In conclusion, Machiavelli teaches us that the key to success lies not in following our emotions or desires, but in understanding them, controlling them, and using them as tools to our advantage. The world is chaotic, and emotions are the storm. But the leader who can remain calm in the storm will not only survive, they will thrive. So let go of the need to feel everything and focus on what truly matters. Control. Control over yourself, control over your emotions, and control over the world around you. As we continue to dive deeper into Machiavelli's perspective on control, it becomes clear that this concept is not merely about emotional restraint. It is about shaping the very world around you. A person who controls themselves, their emotions, and their actions can bend the circumstances of their life. In the same vein, the leader who controls their environment controls their destiny. This is what Machiavelli understood better than anyone. Success doesn't come from waiting for the right opportunity. It comes from creating the opportunity, shaping the world to fit your goals. This brings us to one of Machiavelli's key principles: the manipulation of perception. Perception, as Machiavelli would argue, is everything. The way others perceive you and the way you perceive yourself is crucial in the game of power. But how can you manipulate perception? The answer lies in the art of appearances. Machiavelli often emphasized that it is not necessary to be good, but it is necessary to appear good. The most powerful individuals in history have understood this principle intuitively. They did not always act with the noblest intentions, but they knew how to present themselves as paragons of virtue and integrity. The leader who can manipulate perception knows how to present themselves as strong, even if they are vulnerable. They can create an image of invulnerability, knowing that in the world of power, it is not the truth that matters, it is what people believe to be true. Machiavelli himself was no stranger to this concept. He wrote The Prince as a guide for rulers, advising them on how to project strength and command respect. He understood that appearance often trumped reality, and it is in mastering this art of appearances that a leader gains control over the minds and hearts of those they lead. But let's dig deeper. What does it mean to manipulate perception on a tactical level? The answer lies in the use of the mask. Leaders often wear masks. These masks are not about deception, but about creating a controlled narrative. The mask hides the true intentions and emotions of the leader, presenting only what serves their purpose. This mask can be changed depending on the situation, tailored to what the moment demands. It is through this ever-changing facade that a leader maintains their power, as they adapt to each situation with skill and foresight. Consider how historical figures like Julius Caesar, Napoleon Bonaparte, or even modern-day politicians have used this principle. Caesar knew how to present himself as the people's champion, winning over the masses while maneuvering through the most dangerous political waters. Napoleon, with his grand gestures and self-made myth, manipulated the perception of his invincibility. These leaders understood that to lead effectively, you must control how others perceive you, and you must always be one step ahead in crafting that perception. However, the manipulation of perception is not limited to external appearances. It extends to how you perceive yourself. As Machiavelli might argue, self-perception is the first step in controlling how the world perceives you. To manipulate your reality, you must first believe in your own power. This self-belief is not about arrogance or overconfidence. It is about recognizing your ability to adapt, to strategize, and to manipulate the environment to your advantage. When you believe in your ability to control, you create an aura of power around yourself that others cannot ignore. Moving forward, let us explore how Machiavelli's principles of control are not only applicable to politics or leadership, but to personal success and self-mastery. While Machiavelli's teachings are often associated with the ruthless world of power and politics, they can also be applied to everyday life. Success, after all, is not just about external power. It is about mastering yourself and your environment. It is about creating a life that aligns with your deepest desires and goals. At the core of Machiavelli's philosophy is the idea that life is a series of calculated moves. Every action you take, every decision you make, should be in service of your greater goal. But here's the catch. You can't allow yourself to be swayed by the whims of the moment. If you react emotionally, if you let fear, love, or anger dictate your decisions, you'll lose control. Success demands that you take a step back, analyze the situation, and then act with purpose. This is the essence of strategic thinking, the ability to act not out of impulse but out of a clear, rational understanding of the long-term consequences. Consider how this applies to your personal relationships. How often do we act out of anger or frustration only to regret our words or actions later? Machiavelli would suggest that this is a mistake. Instead of reacting emotionally, a person should pause, reflect, and choose their response deliberately. This level of control not only prevents mistakes, but also builds respect and authority in the eyes of others. In relationships, both personal and professional, the ability to remain calm and composed gives you an undeniable power over those around you. Another area where Machiavelli's philosophy of control can be applied is in decision-making. Decisions, as Machiavelli notes, are the foundation of power. Leaders who make decisions that are carefully thought out and aligned with their long-term vision will succeed. However, leaders who make decisions based on emotion or short-term gain will falter. The ability to make decisions from a place of calm, detached rationality is one of the greatest assets anyone can possess. It allows you to see the full picture, to weigh the risks and rewards, and to act in a way that maximizes your chances of success. But decision-making is not just about logic, it is also about timing. In Machiavelli's world, timing is everything. To act too soon is to risk failure. To act too late is to miss the opportunity. A true master of control understands the value of patience. They know when to act and when to wait. This is where emotional restraint becomes critical. The emotionally controlled individual can wait for the perfect moment to make their move, knowing that the world will always present the right opportunities at the right time. Let's turn to another important principle in Machiavelli's teachings: adaptability. Success is not just about control, it is also about the ability to adapt to the ever-changing landscape of life. The world is unpredictable, and the best leaders are those who can adjust to new circumstances without losing sight of their ultimate goal. This is where the balance of control and flexibility comes into play. A true leader knows when to stand firm and when to adapt. They are not rigid, they are fluid, able to move with the current of life without being swept away by it. In conclusion, we return to Machiavelli's ultimate lesson, the power of control. Whether it is controlling your emotions, your perceptions, your relationships, or your decisions, the ability to master yourself and your environment is the key to success. Machiavelli teaches us that the world is full of chaos, but through discipline, strategy, and emotional control, we can navigate that chaos and emerge victorious. The world is yours to shape, if only you have the control to mold it to your will. As we conclude our exploration of Machiavelli's philosophy of control, we arrive at the fundamental truth. To master the art of life, you must control not just your actions, but your mind and your environment. The mastery of yourself, your thoughts, emotions, and decisions, is the foundation upon which true power is built. This is the final key to understanding Machiavelli's wisdom, the unshakable conviction that, by transcending the chaos of emotion, you shape your own reality. The question remains, How can we apply this profound wisdom in the modern world, where emotional reactions often rule over reason? The answer lies in developing a mindset that recognizes the impermanence of emotions and the lasting power of rationality. In the fast-paced world we live in, where distractions and impulses often take the lead, the ability to pause and think is the most valuable skill one can have. It is about refusing to be swept away by the emotions of the moment and instead choosing to act with purpose and vision. In Machiavelli's eyes, this detachment is not about becoming cold or indifferent to life. It is about understanding that emotions are fleeting and do not define us. Rather than allowing them to dictate your actions, you must allow them to pass and choose to move forward with clarity. This is what separates the masters of control from those who are ruled by external circumstances, the ability to remain steady when everything else is in turmoil. For many, this process begins with self-awareness. It is about understanding your own emotional triggers and learning how to control them before they control you. This requires introspection, patience, and discipline. As you become more attuned to your emotions, you can begin to consciously choose your responses. Instead of reacting impulsively, you can choose to respond in a way that aligns with your goals and values. This is where true power lies, in the freedom to act from a place of calm and clarity, rather than from a place of emotional chaos. But how do we ensure that we are not only controlling our emotions, but also our environment? One of Machiavelli's core principles was the need for strategic action. To maintain control, you must be strategic in how you engage with the world. You cannot allow external forces to dictate your outcomes. You must learn to create opportunities rather than wait for them, to anticipate challenges and respond proactively. This requires a deep understanding of both your environment and your own capabilities. Machiavelli believed that success in life and leadership was not about reacting to circumstances, but about shaping them. The best leaders, in his view, were those who took control of their fate, who did not let the unpredictability of life overwhelm them. Instead, they used that unpredictability to their advantage, turning uncertainty into opportunity. This is where the true power of strategic thinking lies, in seeing beyond the immediate and focusing on the long term. To put this into practice, we must develop an attitude of anticipation. Instead of waiting for things to happen, you must begin to predict what is likely to occur. What trends are emerging? What obstacles might you face? What opportunities are available? By anticipating these things, you can prepare yourself mentally, emotionally, and practically to handle them. This proactive mindset is the hallmark of someone who is in control, not of others, but of their own life. It is also essential to cultivate a sense of patience. In a world that is often obsessed with immediate results and instant gratification, the ability to wait for the right moment is a rare but invaluable skill. Machiavelli's principles teach us that timing is everything. In many cases, the best move is not to act quickly, but to wait for the perfect moment to strike. This patience does not come from a place of inaction or hesitation. Rather, it comes from a place of certainty in your own abilities and understanding that everything has its time. As we reflect on Machiavelli's philosophy of control, we realize that it is ultimately about self-mastery. The greatest leaders, the most successful individuals, are not those who wield power over others. They are those who have learned to control themselves and their own lives. Success comes not from dominating the world around you, but from understanding and mastering the forces within you. When you can control your own emotions, reactions, and actions, you create a life that is aligned with your deepest desires and goals. In conclusion, Machiavelli's timeless wisdom offers us a powerful reminder. Life is not about being a slave to our emotions or the whims of fate. It is about recognizing our ability to shape our own destiny through control. By mastering ourselves, our emotions, thoughts, and decisions, we can navigate the world with confidence, creating opportunities, anticipating challenges, and acting with precision. The ultimate power lies in our ability to remain steadfast, to choose our responses, and to shape the world around us in a way that aligns with our true purpose. This is the true meaning of control: to feel nothing, but to control everything.